both. Either way, you're in the right place. This is Midnight with Wraithlurk. What's up, everyone? My name is Wraithlurk. I'm sure you know that already. Whether you know me from my music, my mask, my books, or those weird dark corners of the internet you probably shouldn't be scrolling at 3 a.m. Either way, welcome to episode 1 of Midnight with Wraithlurk. This podcast is basically my brain at midnight. Paranormal stuff, unexplained stories, and folklore. Haunted places and strange little glitches in reality. And then also, me talking about life, music, grief, obsession, love, mental health, whatever's sitting heavy on my chest, you know. If you're into urban legends and ghost stories and graveyard tales and creepy history, but also want to hear from the dude who writes all this dark music about shadows and heartbreak and the void, then that's what this is. So, let me set the tone a little bit here. I've always been drawn to the strange, and I'm not talking like jump scare horror or strange things like a lady in white or the monster in your closet, under your bed, the ghost in the hallway, stuff like that. But the kind of stories that sit with you, the ones that make you question whether you really saw something out of the corner of your eye, or if your brain just needed it to be something. I write a lot about things that won't leave you alone, whether that's grief, obsession, someone, something, the idea of someone or something. That feeling that someone's watching even when you're safe. The idea that grief and trauma and love leave fingerprints on reality. To me, the paranormal isn't just, ghosts in the hallway. It's that feeling in your gut in a hospital room. It's dreams that feel like messages. It's coincidences that are just a little too sharp to ignore. That's the type of stuff I want this podcast to live in. So we're going to have a few different types of episodes here. Number 1 being the paranormal and supernatural deep dives. Episodes where I take a specific topic and go in on it. Things like haunted locations and cursed objects, weird true stories, cryptids, and strange disappearances. I'll bring the research, the story, and then my own thoughts on what might actually be going on, if anything. Other episodes will include my music. Sometimes we're going to talk about my songs and what inspired them, the stories behind certain lyrics, and the emotional or spiritual stuff behind the tracks. I want to connect the dots between the music and the darker themes we talk about here. Grief, obsession, loss, faith, doubt, the idea of the void, all of it. And then there'll be some that are just like late night talks, episodes about life and burnout, about trying to create in a world that feels insane, about relationships and mental health, all that real shit that doesn't really fit into a ghost story or album breakdown. Think of us sitting in a parked car at 1 a.m. just talking with the engine off and the world on pause. And I want to bring you in this eventually as well. I want listener stories and questions, your own encounters and experiences. I know some of you listening, you're not just here for spooky entertainment. A lot of us are drawn to the darkness because we've been there. We've lost people, we've gone through things that don't make sense. We've had nights where it felt like something bigger than us was either watching over us or trying to swallow us whole. For me, creating music and writing these stories has always been a way to survive that feeling, to give it shape, to say, okay, if I can turn this into a song or a story, maybe it'll stop chewing on me from the inside. So yeah, this is a paranormal podcast, but it's also a place where we're going to talk about grief and healing, fear, faith, and whatever the hell is going on with this universe. If you're the type of person who feels things too deeply and has always been maybe a little strange, a little haunted, then this podcast is meant for you. Now, I was never going to go into a full deep dive in this episode. This is just a hello. But I want to leave you with one small story to set the mood. Now, if you're not driving, of course, I want you to close your eyes and picture this. You're in an old house, nighttime, obviously. It's quiet, the kind of quiet that feels intentional. You walk past a hallway mirror, and you swear you see someone standing behind you. Not enough detail to describe them, just a shape, a presence. You spin around, nothing. You tell yourself it's just your brain, your eyes are trying to make sense of shadows. Eventually, you go to bed. At 3-something in the morning, you wake up. No sound, no dream you remember, just that thudding heartbeat, feeling like something tapped on your soul. You grab your phone. It's lit up with a notification from someone you haven't heard from in years. They're telling you a close friend had passed away around that same time you woke up. Now, is that just a coincidence? Is it grief traveling back in time to tap you awake? Is it your subconscious sensing something in the background noise of reality? We don't know, and that's the point. The space between there has to be a reason and maybe there isn't, that's where this podcast lives. Those little ripples, those moments that feel way too heavy to shrug off. Starting next episode, we're going to jump straight into shadow people and stories specifically regarding the infamous Hat Man. We'll talk the history, the lore people have built around it all those creepy details and encounters that people have had. And then I want to tie it back into the bigger themes that we'll keep covering in the future. Things like death and memory, and what it means to stay after you're gone. I want to thank you so much for giving me a chance in this. This is something that I've always wanted to do. And I also want to ask for your help here. So if you have your own stories or paranormal encounters and strange occurrences, anything you can't explain, I want to start collecting those for future episodes. You can hit me up on my socials, DM me, or email the email down in the description box below. So if you do decide to email me, go ahead and make sure you type in Midnight Story in the subject line so it's easier for me to find. If you're feeling this already, please do the usual podcast stuff and follow or subscribe. Make sure you leave a rating or review, and if you want to help this grow even more, share the pod with your friends, and maybe even you have a friend who's like us and talks about ghosts and conspiracies and synchronicities or weird dreams they're low-key too scared to Google. This is the very beginning. If it goes where I think it can go, this won't just be a show. It'll be like a little late-night cult of our own. The good kind, though. No robes or sacrifices. Maybe a mask, though. I got you on the mask. Thanks for hanging out with me for this first episode, for stepping into the dark a little. This has been Midnight with Wraithlurk. Get some sleep, or don't. I'll see you in the next one.